Hi, this is Brenda with Midlife Single, and today I am really excited to have Jeff with us today. Jeff, thank you for joining us on Midlife Single, and I'm excited to learn a little bit about your story and your experience in the midlife scene. So Jeff, how long have you been single?
Well, first, thanks, Brenda, for having me on. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy, so I appreciate the time you're taking to speak with me today.
Thank you.
Cool, and this is awesome. I love what you're doing. I've been single since the end of 2018. So.
And how long were you married?
I was married for 19 years, and then I was together with my ex-wife for an additional 3. So I was with my ex-wife really for 22 years.
Wow, so it's a really long time. So.
Yep, almost half.
Yeah, a long time. So when you came out of that, what was your experience in the dating? Did you date right away or did you wait?
I think when I first got separated, the divorce is a process that took many months, and then that was finalized a few months after I left the house. I really didn't know what I wanted to do because, as you've been through a divorce, when you first kind of go through it, there's so many emotions that you're going through. And I think I tried to date. I tried to go out and meet women and talk to them. But deep down, I knew that I wasn't even ready to talk to anybody,
Right.
except maybe my closest friends and my kids and my parents, because I was really out in this whole new world by myself, and I needed to take care of myself before I could actually go out and hit the meat market.
And a meat market it is, right?
Yes.
Especially we're in Tucson, Arizona, so our headquarters are in Tucson. So we're both located in Tucson, and from what I understand, Tucson's like the capital of single people or something.
Really? I didn't know that.
I saw a report on that not too long ago. It's kind of funny.
There's a lot of single people here. That's what I'm learning now. Especially, I'm going to be 47 in a couple of weeks. I think in my age range, we're similar in age. I see there's a lot of single people at that midlife point.
I have almost a year on you, Jeff. So.
Were you together with your husband longer than I was with my wife?
Yeah, I started dating him when I was 16, going on 17. I got married to him when I was 23.
Okay.
And then I was divorced, we separated 4 years ago. So right. In 2016. So yeah, so it was a long time, 20 some
so it's
years
been
of marriage.
Few years since you've been divorced. How do you feel?
It's a learning curve for me. I mean, I'm discovering things about myself every day on so many different levels, not just in dating, but even as we've been going through this whole COVID and the riots and everything else, and just really taking time to try to become grounded and just learn more about myself, and which has been important to me in this journey. So yeah,
it's like a unique opportunity in history to you have to be alone. So hopefully, the people that were alone, they're able to, they're okay, and they're dealing with whatever it is they're dealing with and taking care of themselves. I mean, that's one thing I learned throughout this whole coronavirus ordeal. Aside from having my kids with me, which was just awesome. I loved having them with me every minute of it. I really got a chance to kind of look deeply inside and start working on things that I wasn't working on prior to that. So I'm actually grateful. I'm not grateful that the world has coronavirus. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to kind of do some introspection.
Let's tap on that a little bit, because I think it's really important, especially for people who are just at the start of being single. How important would you rate just you taking time, like you said, we were kind of forced to do it in the last few months, but how important do you think it is when someone initially is going through a divorce or a split or that sort of thing?
Well, everybody's situation is different. Some people, they're divorced and they're at a stage with themselves where they can, go dating again, or maybe perhaps they're they're entering in another relationship right at their divorce for, you know, whatever reason.
Right.
So it really depends on where you're at as a person. For me,
Right.
you know, I feel like in my marriage, you know, there were many great years and some not so great years. I feel like I lost a big part of my identity,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my fault. You know, I look back and my ex-wife never caused me to lose any identity. I put it all on myself. So coming out of my marriage, I felt like I needed to go back and really remember who I was. Who's Jeff? What did I do? What made me happy before I got married? You know, what are the small things? And that's what I've been doing. So if anybody is, you know, going through this right now, it's really important, especially men. It's important to really look inward, and hopefully you have a network of friends that can support you and figure out, you know, who you are, what things you like, what are your values. You know, do you have a vision for yourself? Where do you see yourself in a year or two? Take care of yourself. So.
Right, right. When you were first, you know, became single, what were the biggest struggles that you faced becoming single and in the initial stages of being single?
Yeah, I think the biggest struggle for me, and you know, I've heard this from other guys too, just in kind of making the rounds, is that I had to learn to be alone. Like I always had my ex-wife or my kids in the same house with me all the time. I was never alone. Even when I was physically alone, I was never alone. I had them. So I had to learn to be alone. And for me, I like being around people. I like meeting new people. And to all of a sudden wake up in a house that's empty, it's just me. And I don't have to answer to really anybody. That for me was a struggle to say, okay, I'm going to actually stay home tonight. I'm not going to go out and go downtown or go to a restaurant and try to meet new people. I'm going to actually stay home and just relax and be alone and be comfortable in my own skin. That is still the biggest struggle for me, because I feel like, you know, I want to get out and meet people, but it's really important for me to learn that being alone is really, it's actually good. I've had some of the best times in the last 3 months alone.
I know, and you know, I have to agree with you from my perspective too. I mean, I think that I kind of went through the same thing. You know, initially it's like you need to be out all the time, meeting people, dating, you know, doing the whole thing. But then as you start to, you can't do that every day, obviously. And so as you start to stay home and learn to be alone and be okay with it, I don't know. I think that's when you start to kind of clear your mind and get a clear vision of who you're becoming and who you are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it took me like a year to really figure that out. Like I really struggled with it. I talked to different people, even professionals, spoke to a therapist, and they really had nothing to tell me other than just do it. And that's what I did. And now, in the last 6 months, I've been part of this global men's network, and it's been life-changing for me. So I went from being alone to being less alone and having, you know, building some relationships around the United States and other countries and with other guys of all areas of life. And it's been fantastic. And I don't think I would have gotten there that from a financial perspective, from a business perspective, it's been the greatest thing for me. I wouldn't have gotten to this unless I kind of sat, you know, in my room looking at the ceiling, trying to figure out who I am.
Right, right. And now that you're in the dating scene, tell me a little bit more about that. What's been your experience in internet dating and dating?
Yeah. One, it's a lot of fun. It's great going out to meet new women, for example. I think the dating scene now is harder than harder than it's ever been for men. Forget about women. We're not here to talk about women today.
No, we're not.
Dating scene for men is now hard because women have hyper inflated the value of attention, and attention is the number one thing that I can give any other person, a female specifically, that has value to it. And now, because of social media and these dating apps, you have you know, women posting any picture of themselves, whether it's, you know, with their kids or, you know, posing, and you have hundreds of men saying, "Oh, beautiful, marry me." And so females are getting a lot of attention. And so the value of my attention now has like really went down, because they don't need to talk to anybody because they're getting this basic need of attention. So dating apps have really made things harder.
That's a good point. I never
Oh,
thought of that, but yeah, you're right. I can see kind of how that would, yeah, I mean, if you're getting constant attention from people and that's all you're craving.
Well, think about it as a, you know, look, who doesn't like being admired in their photos?
Right,
Okay?
right.
Like, it's a basic human thing when someone says, you look nice, you're attractive, you're handsome.
Right.
So because of social media and the, you know, proliferation of these apps like Instagram, where it's all about posing, you know, for people, men and women both, you know, put up these facades, and you have mostly men, which I think are like, I don't know so much on the female side, mostly men going into the female profiles and just writing harding women. So why should a woman, you know, she's getting a basic need fulfilled, which is in some ways attention. So she doesn't have to do anything. So for me, if I want to, you know, go out with you, Brenda, but you have 50 men chatting you up all the time, I'm just lost in the noise. So it's harder. So I have to think of other ways to kind of get out there and date, because I still do want to date people.
Right, right. So do you think that internet dating is more of a hindrance to men, or?
No, it's not a hindrance. In fact, if you're a guy like myself and you understand a little bit about how male-female dynamics work, and you put yourself in the right position, it's not hard at all. In fact, you'll have so many opportunities to date, you'll have to turn them down.
Right.
So it's all about understanding that, and really for a guy, understanding the value of his attention, and also not being boring. Don't be boring, because, you know, when you talk to someone on a chat, let's just say on Bumble, you start chatting, if you say, "Hi, how you doing?" That's the most boring thing. But if you want to, you know, maybe add some mystery and some intrigue to your chats, you're more than likely to get the other person on the other side to engage in a communication with you, and then you can maybe take it offline and hopefully meet for coffee or a drink.
Right, right, right. I mean, that's one of the things when I was doing the internet dating that I found very frustrating from like my side, and it's probably the same for you. It just seemed like people just wanted to converse through text or chat or whatever, and it's like, you know, I kind of felt like I don't have time for this. You know, I'm busy. We're all busy.
Who wants a pen pal? I mean,
right, exactly. It's like, I want to meet you because I want to, you know, maybe meet someone to go out with on a date, or build a friendship or business, you know, relationship, whatever the case may be. And it just, that to me was really frustrating.
Yeah.
But your point, just so you know, your point to the whole thing about being on there and getting the, you know, the kudos or whatever you want to call it. I mean, there was, when I first started, when I was first separated and got on dating sites, to me, that was it was an ego boost, and I will admit it freely. I mean, I'd get off on it, you know, I'd get off of it, and then I'd get back on, just because I needed that ego boost, or that, you know, like, just like you said, you know.
Yeah, and I think we all kind of at one point kind of become addicted to that attention that we get.
Right.
And then, you know, you're checking your phone, that they respond back. But let me ask you a question, Brenda.
Yes.
Say you're on like Instagram, and a man chats you up and they say, "Hi, Brenda, how are you? How's your day?" Or someone leads in with a question like, you know, "What are you doing? You know, how are you breaking the rules today? What are you doing to, you know, avoid the pandemic of 2020? Which one are you more likely to talk to?
See that again. So the first option was,
first one just says, "Hey, how you doing? Like, how's your day?" Boring. Brenda, how's your day? And then the next person comes in and says, "Hey, Brenda, you know, what are you doing now to kind of have fun in the middle of the pandemic of 2020?" would you talk to that person or the one who just said, "Hey, how you doing"?
The second one,
Right.
for sure.
The more
Yeah, the
interesting.
second one. Because I'll tell you why. The first one would have been followed up with a dick pic or
Yeah, that's not good.
some sort of,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, anybody who's watching this, especially if you're a guy, nobody wants to see your dick. Nobody.
Nobody wants to
Nobody.
see your dick.
And I would even say, pictures of dudes, half naked. It really depends on the persona you want to create online. I could see that works for Tinder if you're just looking to hook up. But if you're looking to like meet someone and build like a meaningful relationship, take your dating profile and build a story. Put a story behind it, and make it tasteful. Because I think from my experience, women like that.
Oh, and I totally agree with you.
You could tell me I'm wrong, but that's from my experience that works.
No, I totally agree with you because you'll get messages all day. Hey, how you doing? Hey, beautiful, you're gorgeous. Hey, that kind of stuff all day long. And it's honestly annoying and frustrating, I mean, but when someone sends you an actual message and like you said, hey, how are you dealing with COVID, or, ask you something that you need to answer, then it's a little bit more intriguing and you want to answer the question, so yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
And as a guy, if you're doing that, take notes. Like, this might sound like weird to some of the uninitiated on dating apps. Take notes on what you're doing and find out what works and what doesn't work, because you're going to swing the bat 1,000 times. You're going to strike out probably most of the time, 950 times. Believe me, that's fine. But that's how you learn how to build a persona and communicate online. And the whole idea, though, is not to have a texting buddy. One day of texting is good. Make a date, go out, spend 20 minutes with each other. If you don't like each other, politely, depart. So that's how I do dating online.
I totally agree with you on that. And I just had something else come to my mind that I wanted to ask you about, but I forgot now. If it comes back, it had to do with dating, and I just don't remember what it was. But I remember now. I remember.
Have you been on any? Okay, you asked me first, then I'll follow up with my question.
Yeah, so from a men's perspective, what is the climate of women out there? Like, what are you seeing in regards to the dating scene and responses from women as far, like, are they wanting to get into relationships? Are they just wanting to have the one night of fun? Or what are you seeing from a men's perspective?
You see a little bit of everything. I tend to gravitate toward women that I think because of my approach is never going to be like meet on the app and then a one night stand right away. It just doesn't work like that for me. I have a different methodology on how I work, and I do have a methodology. I have a whole plan on how I do things. And if I make it to the end of the plan, it means there's someone that I'm talking to is probably a good match for me. So it's like weeding out. But there's at 45 to 50, I've seen plenty of really awesome professional women that are looking to, I think most of the women that I've met are looking for a relationship. When I first got divorced, I went out with quite a few women that were really looking for relationships. I mean, they're very open and upfront about it. I wasn't there. So the relationship ended after a few days because I just wasn't ready for that. But I have also dated maybe 10 years younger, and some want to, they're interested in families in the near future, and so I've seen pretty much everything. I also have met, how do I say this politically correct? Women that aren't interested in, they want to have fun. So
right.
Wrong. If that's what floats your boat, and for a guy, if that's what you're looking for, go for it. I'm not judging anybody.
Right. Right. Just be upfront and honest about it, people.
In fact, I think I've been on more dates during COVID. The second month.
Really?
Yes, because I've been a little bit creative in my approach in meeting women on dating apps and Instagram, and it's helped me meet them. And it's been weird because you can't, you're not going to go to a restaurant or a bar and have a drink or have dinner, you have to do other things. Like you have to actually go outside and be alone and talk, you know, or go on a hike or take a drive, you know. It's really cool stuff. So I've been really happy. It's helped me up my game.
So Jeff, has there been any nightmare dates that you've been on?
Well, I think I've been on a few. I think most of them have been great, but I do have one story, and it wasn't a nightmare. It's just worthwhile knowing. I went out with a woman I met on one of the dating apps, and we went out to dinner. First date was at a dinner. We had sushi, and we ordered, and we talked. We had a good conversation. As I'm about to take the first bite of food, she goes, "You know, I'm a dominatrix," and I'm like, I knew this woman for maybe this one for maybe 15 minutes, and yeah, I think she was trying to test me to look at my reaction. I said, okay, you know, that's fine, but that's the only date that stood out. I've had dates where I've got up and left after 20 minutes because I'm like, this is like silly, but nothing crazy, no nightmares. But the dominatrix one, I think I'll remember for the rest of my life.
So like inquiring minds want to know, and we could talk about this later.
Well, I'm an open book.
Did you partake in the dominatrix scene?
No, I did not. I'll tell you what happened with that. We were supposed to have a second date, but my son got sick, and we were going to meet during the day. And I told her maybe like 2 hours before we were supposed to meet, and then she just blew me off after that. You know, so the one thing for me with dating is, you know, I have my responsibility for my kids, even though they're kind of older, they're teenagers and about to be out of the house. You know, I'm always there for them, so they take precedence over anything right now.
Do you find that dating, especially in this age frame, people have a lot of baggage, and
yeah,
that you kind of have to figure out how to work around and that sort of thing?
You know, think about it. I mean, I'm 47, and if I'm going to meet someone that's, you know, within plus or minus a few years, they might have been married, might have kids with multiple partners, you know, they might have a whole lifetime of stuff. You have to accept that. I mean, Brenda, if you met someone now, you know, they're probably going to have some baggage. I mean, is that a problem? Well, yeah. As long as they're not, you know, killers, then for me, it's fine. As long as
it's not the next ID episode.
Yeah, right, exactly. As long as they're not psychotic. And that's why in the dating for guys, in the dating process, you have to filter out for that stuff. And there's ways to do it, which I can't get into right now.
Well, okay, so I'll get with you offline and we'll come up with a list, and we'll put that out there for everybody. Yeah. Jeff, what have you learned about yourself since becoming single?
What have I learned about myself? I feel like I'm perspicacious, if you know what that word means.
I really don't.
and everything I try in life, so you have to look it up. But that's been what I've learned. And I also have found that I really like, and this is not cliche, it might sound cliche, but it's not. There really are no limits. I've figured it out with myself. The only limit is the one in my head. There's nobody, nothing, no situation that will prevent me from doing whatever it is I want to do, except myself. So I've kind of taken responsibility for my actions and my life and how I live. And that one thing has like really empowered me to pretty much do whatever I want. So
that's awesome. That's really cool. Do you think that changed since your divorce and in just taking time to focus on yourself?
100%. 100%. Yeah. And then realizing that, you know, I'm going to sit here and like let life pass me by, or I'm going to go do something and live the way I want to live and be with the people I want to be with, and not really care about what anybody says. I really feel like I've outgrown some of that. The only people that really have control over me like that about what they say, and it might bother me or not, are my kids.
Right.
That's really it. I have a specific plan for the next few years of my life, and hopefully, you know, I'll make it happen. So
I'm sure you will. You're awesome. So let's see, if you had one piece of advice to give, what would that be?
Okay, so for like a dating profile?
Um,
or just in
well,
general?
let's do both. Let's do one piece of advice for a dating profile, and then one piece of advice to that man that is going through a divorce or thinking about getting a divorce.
Yeah.
Let's go both routes.
Okay, so for the guy that's just getting a divorce or thinking about it, do it. You know, if you feel there's no way to work out your relationship with your wife, then do it. Don't wait. You realize you could be gone tomorrow. And then a life worth living is you have to live a life. You have to live your life the best possible way that you can. And if you're unhappy, there's nobody that's going to fix it for you. If you don't want to continue with your spouse, take action. Do not wait. Live with the consequences. There's always legal garbage when it comes to divorce. I don't prescribe to the fact that men are treated poorly in divorce. I think men that are not prepared are treated poorly because they didn't do the work. It is a very equitable system. So do it, cut the cord, make it happen, and just spend time on yourself and don't rush anything. So that's what I would recommend.
I think that's really good advice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. But I was the person telling myself. Nobody told me.
Right.
And then
right.
for a dating profile, I would say, one, don't be boring. Like, don't be someone who's average. And in your dating profile, you can be anybody you want to be. You know, don't lie, but take different elements of your life and incorporate it into your profile and spruce it up so it's interesting. And then when you talk to women through text, be interesting. Ask questions, kind of maybe think a few moves ahead of where the conversation could go, and be there with a comeback. And take really good pictures. And no dick pics.
Again, no dick pics. I think that's really good advice. And from a woman's perspective, I can tell you the inquiries like that are the ones that I will tend to respond more to. There, you know, it's great to hear you're beautiful, but that is superficial. Yeah. And you wanna talk to someone who has substance and meaning. I'm sure there's women out there who just love the superficial. I mean, there's that too, and that's fine. But most women, I think, especially in this age, want some sort of substance in their life. And I think that you're very, very on track with that, Jeff.
Thank you. And I think it goes for any age of woman. And with the dating apps, I've dated as low as 28.
Dang.
Look, there's nothing special about me except I have a great personality. That's it. I'm keep it interesting. So anybody can do it. I wasn't always like that. I practiced. So.
Right.
Thank you.
Jeff, thank you. I appreciate you coming on with us today and helping us navigate through being midlife single. And I hope you all join us for our next profile. And we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.